Good afternoon, students.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, ma'am.
Good afternoon. So, up to now we have completed 3 units. Now we will move to fourth unit, that is which contains first section as phase plane analysis for linear systems. Okay, so we will go to phase plane analysis of linear systems. So what is the phase plane? Phase plane is nothing but two-dimensional plane in which we possibly discuss the behavior of solutions of the linear systems. So in this section, we will describe possible behavior of the solutions of linear system, in particularly two-dimensional system, solutions of two-dimensional system. What is the system? U at t plus 1 is equal to a times u at t. We will give the number 4.14 as it, where A is a non-singular 2 by 2 matrix. 2 by 2 non-singular matrix. What is mean by non-singular matrix? What is mean by non-singular matrix?
Invertible.
What is? Pardon?
Invertible.
Non-zero.
Invertible.
Determinant is non-zero. Yes. So we are considering here 2 by 2 A is our 2 by 2 matrix, and so this is two-dimensional linear system. U at t plus 1 is equal to A times U at t. So U will be my U at t will be my U1 t and U2 t vector. Okay. So here we are going to discuss behavior of the solutions of this equation or system 4.14. Okay. The behavior of the solutions is depend upon eigenvalues, right? In previous section we have seen stability of linear systems. In that two theorems we have seen, like if spectral radius of A is strictly less than 1, then all solutions tends to 0 as to infinity and so on. And if it is strictly greater than 1, spectral radius of A is strictly greater than or equal to 1, then there exists some solution of that system which does not tends to 0 as t tends to infinity, right? So here we have to see the different behaviors of the solutions. So it depends on different types of different cases how our eigenvalues are there. Okay, so before going to the that cases, we will have one theorem which simplifies the analysis by associating with a matrix J, which is called as a Jordan canonical form, real Jordan canonical form of A. Okay, so we will write in the next theorem. The matrix J is called the real Jordan canonical form of A. You might have studied in linear algebra what is Jordan canonical form of A and how to find it depending on eigenvalues, right? In linear algebra, you know what is Jordan canonical form? Different Jordan canonical form depending on minimal polynomial, characteristic polynomial of that matrix. Are you familiar with that? Theorem 4.8. What this theorem says that let A be 2 by 2 real matrix, means all entries of that matrix are real, then there is a non-singular matrix, there is a non-singular matrix P so that A is equal to Pj P inverse, where now there will be three cases again, where if matrix A has real eigenvalues say lambda 1 comma lambda 2, not necessarily distinct, with linearly independent eigenvectors, then J is given by lambda 1 0 0 lambda 2. That is my Jordan canonical form. We will write this A properly. If A has this, so this is one case. Another case is if A has single eigenvalue say lambda with a single independent eigenvector, then J is given by lambda 1 0 and lambda. And third case, when complex eigenvalues, if A has complex eigenvalues say alpha plus or minus I beta, then J is given by Jordan canonical form is given by alpha, beta, minus beta and alpha. So we have to prove this theorem. So what this theorem says that let A be 2 by 2 real is a non-singular matrix P. That is also a real matrix. We will write non-singular real matrix P. There exists a non-singular real matrix P so that A can be written as Pj P inverse, where what is my J? J will be lambda 1 0 0 lambda 2 if A has real eigenvalues lambda 1 comma lambda 2, and that are not necessarily distinct, but it must have linearly independent eigenvectors. Then J will be like this: lambda 1 0 0 lambda 2. If that matrix A has single eigenvalue with single independent eigenvector, then the Jordan canonical form will be of the form lambda 1 0 lambda. And if A has complex eigenvalues, say alpha plus or minus I beta, then Jordan canonical form J is given by alpha beta minus beta alpha. Okay, so we will prove this theorem. Depending on eigenvalues, the Jordan canonical form should be like this. So first assume that A has, first case, assume that A has real eigenvalues lambda 1 comma lambda 2, not necessarily distinct, with linearly independent eigenvectors, say v1 v2 respectively. So v1 is eigenvector corresponding to lambda 1 and v2 is a eigenvector lambda 2. Now define matrix P. P is equal to, we will say v1 v2 2. Define P to be the matrix with first column vector v1 and second column vector as v2. This is a matrix, okay? So I no need to write like this. Okay. So v1 v2, v1 is the first column vector, v2 is the second column vector. So what is the order of this matrix? 1 by 2. Row vector 1 by 2. Okay. Now since v1 and v2 are linearly independent, what can I say about P? Sorry, it is 2 by 2 because v1 is a eigenvector, v2 is again eigenvector. Okay, so it is 2 by 2, right? It is not row vector, it is a matrix. 2 by 2 matrix, v1 and v2. v1 is not single vector, it is a column vector, and v2 is again column vector. So it is 2 by 1 2 by 1. So combined it will be 2 by 2 matrix. Is that okay? Since v1 and v2 are linearly independent, what can I say about determinant of P? What can I say? If linearly independent, what is determinant of P? It should be non-zero. So P is non-singular. P must be non-singular. Then
मॅम स्क्रीन दिसत नाहीये.
what happened?
स्क्रीन दिसत नाहीये.
दिसतंय ना? What about others?
लिहिलेलं खूप
काय
लेट दिसतंय.
मला मोबाईल वर दिसतंय. I am writing with red pen. Proof.
Yes, ma'am.
Whether others can see it?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. So whoever has problem, they can again join. Means they can leave the meeting and again join and then restart it. Because I can see it on mobile like you. So shall I go further? Then A times P will be what? What is my A? It is V1 V2, which is nothing but AV1 AV2, right? So but what is my, since V1 is a eigenvector, AV1 is nothing but AV1 is nothing but lambda 1 V1 I can write, because lambda V1 is the eigenvector corresponding to lambda 1 and AV2 is V2 is eigenvector corresponding to lambda 2. So AV2 is, I can write as lambda 2 V2. We can write here, since AV1 is equal to lambda 1 V1 and AV2 is equal to lambda 2 V2. So this I can write as V1 V2 multiplied by lambda 1 0 0 lambda 2 so AP is equal to again P and this J, right? So this implies A is equal to PJ P inverse, or AP is equal to PJ, where J is equal to lambda 1 0 0 lambda 2. So this implies A can be written as PJ P inverse, where J is equal to lambda 1 0 0 lambda 2. This is the first case. Okay, I am applying P inverse, post multiplying by P inverse on both sides. We get P into P inverse will be identity, so A only in left hand side and PJ P inverse. This is my case 1. Now case 2, what is case B? Assume that A has just one eigenvalue. A has one eigenvalue lambda with single independent eigenvector. Independent eigenvector, say V1. So let W be a vector in R2 that is independent of V1. Any another vector that is independent of. So by Cayley-Hamilton theorem, Cayley-Hamilton, what can I say that? I can write as A minus lambda I into A minus lambda I operated on W is equal to 0, must be 0. Because it satisfies what is Cayley-Hamilton theorem? It satisfies its characteristic equation. Characteristic equation will be A minus lambda I, A minus lambda I, right? Because V1 is the corresponding eigenvector. So consequently, A minus lambda I times W is nothing but C times V1 I can write. So which implies AW minus lambda IW is equal to CV1, right, with C not equal to 0. Because W is not an eigenvector. Now we define V2 is equal to C inverse W and P to be the non-singular matrix V1, V2. Then we can write AP is equal to AV1, AV2, same. Now if I define V2 is equal to C inverse W, so W is nothing but CV2, right? Here we can write here. Here V2 is equal to C inverse W. So what can I get? W is equal to CV2. So AC V2 minus lambda I CV2 is equal to CV1. Here in this W I am substituting as CV2. Okay, so ACV2 minus lambda I CV2 and C which is equal to CV1. And since C is not equal to 0, minus lambda I times V2 is equal to
मॅम
yes.
स्क्रीन दिसत नाहीये.
मला दिसते, तुम्हाला काय प्रॉब्लेम आहे?
आता दिसतीये मॅम.
कोण कोण बोलतोय? Any problem now?
No, ma'am.
So AV2 we have written in terms of V1 plus lambda times V2. So I can now AV1 is nothing but lambda V1, because lambda is eigenvector, V1 is eigenvector corresponding to lambda, and here also lambda V2, I can write this as rearrange just. So this I can write as V1 V2 matrix as lambda 1 0 lambda. So if I take its multiplication, V1 lambda, right? It's this one. So this, so here we get that is AP is equal to PJ, where J is equal to lambda 1 0 lambda, that is A is equal to PJ P inverse, where J is nothing but this one. So therefore case 2 also over. Now remaining is case C, when eigenvalues are complex. So assume that A has complex eigenvalues say alpha plus or minus I beta, with beta greater than 0. The corresponding eigenvectors are of the form, if we are having complex eigenvalues, eigenvectors will be of the complex forms, right? With the corresponding eigenvectors are of the form, say V1 plus or minus I V2, where V1 comma V2 are real independent vectors. Now since A V1 plus I V2 can be written as alpha plus I beta times V1 plus I V2, so this I can write as alpha V1 minus beta V2 plus I times beta V1 plus alpha V2. Can I write? Separating real and imaginary parts. We can write here alpha V1 plus I beta V1 plus alpha I V2 minus beta V2. Beta V2. That only I have separated. So combining real and imaginary parts. This is real part, this is real part. Alpha V1 minus beta V2 plus I times beta V1 plus alpha V2. This is nothing but A V1 plus I times A V2. So two complex numbers are same if their real and imaginary parts are same. So this implies a V1 can be written as alpha V1 minus beta V2, and a V2 is equal to beta V1 plus alpha V2. Now I will define now matrix P. Let V1 P be non-singular matrix V1 V2. Why it is non-singular? Again, V1 and V2 are linearly independent. Therefore, P is a non-singular matrix. So then AP can be written as AV1, AV2, but AV1 is nothing but my alpha V1 minus beta V2 and beta V1 plus alpha V2. Now this I can write as in the product form V1, V2, alpha, beta, minus beta and alpha. So that is nothing but my Pj. AP is equal to Pj, where J is nothing but alpha, beta, minus beta and alpha. That is A is equal to Pj, P inverse, where J is equal to alpha, beta, minus beta and alpha. In this case also we have got the Jordan canonical form with corresponding to A if eigenvalues are complex. So this completes the proof. Is that okay? So in these all three cases we will have Jordan canonical form associated with matrix A. Is that okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Now remark, this theorem 4.8 is about change of coordinates. Above theorem is a result about change of coordinates. So if I am having a matrix A, then I can have a matrix J with my with a non-singular matrix P. With if I select appropriate matrix P, then I can convert into J. We will have a corresponding Jordan canonical form J. So the non-singular matrix A represents A in equation u at t plus 1 is equal to A times ut represents a mapping from u1 u2 vector space called, it is called as the phase plane. Phase plane onto itself. And the equation J is equal to P inverse AP, because I am having A is equal to P inverse. So J is equal to P inverse AP. Okay, means that under an appropriate change of variable, induced by P, the mapping can be represented in one of the three simple forms. In one of the three simple forms. Which simple forms? Whatever we have proved here, that three simple forms. This J, lambda 1 0 0 lambda 2 lambda 1 0 lambda, and J is equal to alpha beta minus beta alpha. Now using this theorem we can have analysis of the solution, behavior of the solutions of this equation u at t plus 1 is equal to a times ut. So case 1 we can consider. Consider the equation or the system, linear system, two-dimensional linear system, u at t plus 1 is equal to a times ut. 4.14, it is my 4.14. The phase plane behavior, the phase plane description of the behavior of the solutions of above equation, of equation 4.14 breaks in a natural way into number of cases. Based on the eigenvalues. Okay. So we will see that cases. So case 1. So case 1a, when 0 less than lambda 1 less than lambda 2 and strictly less than 1. This case is called as sink. Okay. So now consider the eigenvalues of A satisfies this inequality. 0 is strictly less than lambda 1, strictly less than lambda 2 and strictly less than 1. Means A has two distinct real eigenvalues. that are non-zero and in between 0 to 1. Okay. So what is the solution if it A has distinct eigenvalues? What is the solution of that equation 4.14? We have already discussed in previous section. What is the solution? If it has two distinct eigenvalues and its corresponding eigenvectors say v1 and v2, then what is its solution? We know that the solution of 4.14 is given by is of the form. What will be the solution if two distinct eigenvalues c1
8 times
lambda 1 raised to t v1 plus c2 lambda 2
lambda
raised to t v2,
p2.
where v1 and v2 and v2 are eigenvectors corresponding to eigenvalues lambda 1 and lambda 2 respectively. So that will be my solution. This we know already, we have seen. Okay. Now if c1 is equal to 0, if c1 is equal to 0, then for t tends to infinity, where ut will tends to c1 0 है समझा. Suppose c1 is 0. Again we will discuss now in cases if c1 is 0, c2 is 0, and if both are non-zero, where that ut tends to as t tends to infinity. So if c1 is 0, what will remain? c2 lambda 2 raised to t v2, right? So as t tends to infinity, and since my lambda 2 is strictly less than 1, that c2 lambda 2 raised to t v2 will tends to 0. Is that right? Along the line containing v2. If c2 is equal to 0, then for t tends to infinity, what will happen? Again ut will tends to 0 along the line. Which line? Containing v1. Is that right? And if both are non-zero, not equal, now if c1 and c2 both non-zero, then ut will become what? Ut can be written as lambda 2 raised to t c1 times lambda 1 by lambda 2 raised to t v1 plus c2 lambda lambda 2 by lambda 2 raised to t v2. That is nothing but lambda 2 raised to t c1 lambda 1 upon lambda 2 raised to t v1 plus c2 v2. Okay. Now lambda 1 by lambda 2 is strictly less than 1. Is that right? So as t tends to infinity, ut will tends to where?
0.
Not 0. This C2 V2 is non-zero, no? ut upon lambda 2 raised. Or let me write one more step. So as t tends to infinity, ut upon lambda 2 raised to t will tends to C2 P2. Because this is strictly less than 1. Lambda 1 upon lambda 2 raised to t will be less than 1. So as t tends to infinity, it will tends to 0. Is that right? So there will be other cases if it has one single eigenvalue with one independent eigenvector, then what will happen, and all that things we will see tomorrow. So only first this theorem and this case you understand first, then we will discuss tomorrow remaining cases. Is that okay?
Yes, ma'am.